So let's get rolling with Chapter 3. Now that we have Blish and Gorrik and we've stopped those awakened incursions into Tyria, let's see what's lined up for us next. Third chapter is Long Live the Lich. I think without playing anything, Scarab Plague threatens Free City of Amnoon, Joko's plans are revealed in all their horrific splendor, I think we can assume the Lich in Long Live the Lich is a reference to Joko.
Commander, you know I love you, right?
That's not a good start.
You're in trouble, aren't you?
I mean, trouble is such a strong word.
Out with it, Timey.
Gorrik got himself arrested or quarantined. But if you come to his hearing, I bet you can get him released.
So many questions. Not even sure where to start.
We can go into the details when you get here. Amnoon Council Chambers. Thanks, Commander. You're amazing.
I am amazing, but this has the potential to be problematic. So in just a second, we are going to head back to the city of Amnoon and hopefully bail Gorrik out, because apparently he's arrested. While we're here, I have a thing in my inventory that I would like to get rid of. I don't remember if I've already given it to this guy or not, so... for IG 6417. Yeah. So this little golem here, you can actually replace him. It's like a little side event thing that came with this chapter. It's actually quite significant. There's a lot that goes into it. I happen to have the right arm in my inventory right now, and so give it back to him. That way it doesn't go to waste since it's in my inventory. Oh, it's the first thing we've actually given him. Okay. So we can continue to, you can go about, basically the descriptions here, the tooltips tell you what this guy needs and how to acquire these things. And then you can upgrade it and get this, or not upgrade, but you can acquire this exotic back piece. And ultimately, you can get an ascended back piece out of it. Requires, especially at this point, it requires doing some content that's not that popular anymore. So there's a little bit of a pain in the ass factor to it. But if you're really really hard up for an ascended back piece, then go bananas. It's there, it's available. It's not going to be particularly expensive. I don't recall that there's much, if any, liquid gold cost. Is you're just going to end up running a whole bunch of errands, right? You're going to be oh, go do this event that no one likes to do, particularly Serpent's Ire. You're going to have to do Serpent's Ire, and people hate that one. And even when this map came out and people were all pursuing that back piece, even then, people were having trouble completing the Serpent's Ire aspect of it. There's a whole bunch of other stuff too, but I could care less. So let's go find out what's going on with Gorrik. He has been snatched up. Is he in the big house? Is he in the... What is some slang for being in jail? The Hooskow? I think I worked with a guy once who said Hooskow. He was from Oklahoma. I was under the impression he had spent some time in the Hooskow. For reals. Alright, Gorrik. What's up, buddy?
Commander, over here.
Don't yell, Timey.
Putting that Asura on trial today.
You believe it took 5 cavaliers to take him in?
Okay. Should be some other dialogue as we...
They're really giving him a hearing?
It's kind of delicate since he's an outlander. A jurisdictional thing.
The little freak put up a fight and we dragged him in. Hope they throw the book at him.
Oh, man. Oh, yeah, she's a cavalier. No wonder she's so upset. She probably got punched in the mouth.
Hey, what's the hero of Amnoon doing here?
Dancing. The answer is... dancing. Alright, Timey. You don't need to yell anymore.
Starting early, so here's a quick rundown. In researching the plague, Gorrik figured out
Pestilence.
that it only infects humans.
Really? That's huge.
Not if you're a human.
Trouble is, locals heard him talking about his work, and they got him arrested. Luckily, he calls it the pestilence, so no one knows he's working on the scarab plague. Whatever you do, don't call it by name, or they'll never let him go.
It's probably fair. We don't smile too kindly on terrorism around here.
Delegation ship, so let's get this going. Mr. Gorrik, You stand accused of conspiracy to release a deadly plague upon our city. How do you plead?
First of all, it's just Gorrik. Asura do not have surnames. And second, do please note this, as the distinction is vital. It's not a plague, it's a pestilence.
I'm ready to rule. If there's no one here to speak on this creature's behalf...
Alright, so each step of the way we get like some options here. I'm unaware of any variation in terms of how things play out, depending on the options you choose. I think there are some achievements associated with like choosing certain options that paint things one way or the other, but it's not going to change the end state of the story. If it pleases the court, I will speak on Gork's behalf.
If it pleases the court, I'd like to speak.
It's like Perry Mason up in here.
Oh, Hero of Amnoon. We'd be honored. I had no idea you were here for this case. The floor is yours. Although, I don't know what could possibly convince me to release this diseased threat into our city.
Diseased?
Oh, forgot to mention. To prove it only infects humans, he did expose himself to the contagion. But nothing happened!
Nothing happened? He's deliberately growing a beetle under his skin.
What?
I'm sorry, he has a what growing where?
Oh, yeah. It's a new species of beetle that could help us with, you know what?
His name is Petey. He's cold-sensitive, but otherwise an excellent specimen. Slash pet.
It's pretty weird, Gork.
Order, please. Commander, so far I'd say your cause is suffering.
I would actually agree, Councilman. I mean, I really don't feel any inclination to help someone who deliberately goes insects under their skin. But, did you actually have him examined?
Your Honor, did you have Gorrik examined?
I wouldn't ask any physician to risk exposure, but there's a bug growing under his skin and, well, look at him.
Whoa. Whoa. Councilor Mayamine is going to get canceled if she tweets something like that. I mean, just look at him. What's that supposed to mean?
Look at him. What's that supposed to mean?
Well, I mean, even in the best of health, his kind tend to look sort of, you know, sickly, weak.
Wow, Counselor.
Right, Timey?
I
Jeez.
think Your Honor needs to examine her own assumptions here.
Ooh.
You tell her, Commander.
I didn't mean... Look, maybe I'm biased. The only Asura I've ever seen are the Inquest, and I'm not a fan. They captured some of our citizens and subjected them to horrific experimentation with strange diseases.
It's clear your experience has caused you to act hastily, Counselor.
So it would seem. Given the lack of concrete evidence and given your willingness to vouch for his character, the court hereby orders Gorrik released. I hope you know what you're doing, Commander. Mr. Gorrik, you're free to go. Bailiff, leave the key and clear the chamber. Excuse us, will you, Commander?
If that's all it requires to mount a legal defense in the city of Amnoon, they must have a lot of criminals running the streets. Which we know they do, right? Because we interacted with them during the Path of Fire story. Alright, let's get Gorrik out of here. After we accused Mayamine of racism, he immediately was exonerated of his crime. Come on out, Gork. We turn a key and apparently it disables a power field. You'd think they would have another way of like controlling that, but I don't know.
Thank you.
Regardless, it's over now. You two can get back to work.
They impounded my materials at the docks.
And Blish, they just lumped him in with their stuff like a thing, like property.
Then I'll meet you at the docks.
So I like how Commander sounds like so like unhappy with that, like it's tiresome. But Blish got locked up in a box. Like, I mean, let's have some sympathy for Blish here. I don't want to get locked up in a box. Lord Farron, he of the extremely uncomfortable, aggressive sexual innuendo. What is up, buddy?
I was hoping our paths might intersect.
I was not.
Lord Farron, what brings you here?
Pack Marshal Thackeray has sent a ship with supplies to aid poor, ravaged Amnoon. He asked me to receive it personally.
That's a big responsibility.
Yes, I assume that's why he sent me. Ship's been spotted in the harbor. Should be arriving soon. Dock 6. Say, it would so buoy the spirits of the locals if you were to attend. Give them a bit of diplomatic pomp.
I've gotta help out a friend, so I might be a bit late, but of course, wouldn't miss it.
Glorious! The delegation will be so impressed. Received by not one, but 2 of the most distinguished heroes in the world.
So, I think there were developers who recognized that Lord Farron, like, more than anything else, resembles a frat boy who should probably be in jail for, like, gray rape, but instead is, like, a junior executive at a Fortune 500 company. Because they kind of start to give him, like, kind of a pseudo-redemption arc here that's going to carry us for a little bit. It's like one of the B stories as we progress through this chapter and go forward. Alright, where could Blish be? Oh yeah, we gotta do this.
Gorrik, we just got you out of jail. A mine infestation will land you right back in.
Yeah, maybe pay attention to what you're doing, Gork.
You can breathe more.
Now that's
Commander,
handled.
maybe
I'll
run
be off.
over with your mouth.
See
That'll
you
stop
at
them from
Dock
spreading.
6, Commander.
You okay?
I am not. I am having an atrocious day. Now, where's my brother?
He has to be in one of these crates. Hey, Blish! Blish! You in here somewhere?
So Timmy and Gorrik are apparently both geniuses. I recognize it. I acknowledge it. After all, Timmy saves the world time and time again, right? And yet somehow, there's only one box here that's large enough to hold Blish, and they're going to wander around aimlessly until the commander comes to the one box that's actually big enough to hold Blish and opens it. Although I guess this one's big enough too, but it doesn't have a green thing above it. Right?
He's powered down!
No, no, no! Those idiots cut him off from the golem's neural net. It's like a black box. He must be going out of his mind.
You gotta reboot him, quick!
Brother, friend, the horror. I couldn't see, hear, speak, move. No sense of space or time. Only nothingness.
Blish, you're back now. That's all over.
I would prefer not to experience that again.
Never again. We promise. Right, Gorrik?
Indubitably.
That sounds truly awful, Blish. Are you sure you're all right?
I think so. It's good to see you all again.
We'll take care of him, Commander. Go ahead and meet the packed ship.
Okay, Timmy. So this little thing here, where Blish was shut off, and it's like a traumatizing experience for him, will be relevant much later in the story. Well, not much later, but later in the story. Like this is going to be a relevant thing. So it is important that it was included here. That was not like some random thing where it's like, great, a thing happened. It's important that we note that. Yes, the aid will be here soon, Fisherman Fisher. So maybe stop painting pictures and do something productive. Help, like good job on the refugee here who like helps out his fellow people by painting pictures. I don't know, man.
There's the ship. I see it.
Yeah, everyone's excited. There's the ship.
But they are my countrymen. And Pack Marshal Thackeray.
I am thankful to Pack Marshal Thackeray for Kryta's magnanimous aid and for your auspicious presence here. But this is Elonian soil, and our people must come together as equals. So I will greet the delegation, introduce my fellow nobles, and then we will join you. And it seems the commander here.
Counselor Mayamine? Lord Farron?
Nice to see you again. It seems I am twice blessed today. If you'll please excuse me, please.
Perfect timing, Commander.
Poor Miming.
Supply ship is here. Come, stand next to me. so we can be seen together.
I am standing next to you, Farron.
Crichtons, welcome. It is my extreme pleasure to...
Oh my gosh. What the heck? Moths. They're infested with moths.
The plague! Baron! Everyone, get back! To me! I'll protect you!
Alright, so now we see that, like, our little thing with the marshmallow mites that Gorrik had, like, again, kind of makes sense for us because now we're using it to crush, like, pools of the scarab plague here. Along with, Reen's help, it seems. Hello, Reen.
Get to safety!
Presumptuous people about noon. This is the price you pay for declaring your independence. Well, well, well. Commander, what are you doing here? Small world. Or maybe it's just Joko's getting larger. And now I've acquired the Scarab Plague. The genuine article this time. Thank you for repeatedly failing to stop me. The carnage to come will be on your head. The final act of your pathetic little tale. But first things first. 10 seconds to curtain. Places for Act 1, please. Places for Act 1. Break a leg, people. It's showtime. Alive or dead, all serve me. Rise, pets. Rise!
You know, if they remove that Showtime nonsense, then, like, again, like, they kind of hit the, like, insidious side of Joko. I feel like that little segment there really, like, takes away from this. And I would have preferred they had not done that. I don't know. As I recall, there were some people who liked it. They felt like it was... You know, these are people who feel like the bad guy in, like, you know, Fast and the Furious was, like, really scary. You know, it's like, oh, man. Like, yeah, I have no idea who the bad guy in Fast and Furious is. I've only seen, like, the first one. But, you know, whoever it is at The Rock and, like, Jason Statham and Charlize Theron or whatever, like, that's who Joko's turned into here. With, like, this really god-awful one little segment of dialogue. And see, again here, we got, like, this Showtime theme. They could have done that a whole hell of a lot better. But they chose not to. I don't know. I mean, you can't force people to, like, do good things. Some people just really want to be, like, bad at what they do. You can't help it, you know? That attack can be, like, pretty brutal if you're not paying attention when it comes back in. It's not that bad when he sends it out initially, but if it comes back, it looks like right now it's not coming back in. But it will later. We'll see the same attack, and it'll actually, like, come back in and kind of converge on you. There we go. Let's see if it does it this time. It might just be phase 2. Yeah. When it comes back in and converges on you, every one of those hits you, it'll, like, wreck your day. Thanks, Irene.
That's cheating. Nobody likes a cheater, Commander. What do we do to cheaters, Istari? We put them to death.
Scary. Alright, here we go. We should see that return to us, and we want to dodge through that because otherwise, it can legit be problematic. And even that, you can see even that initial hit was like a little rough.
And scene. I do hope you'll join me in Gandhara for Act 2, Commander. I've reserved you a front row seat. Exit, Joko.
That's Joko? Good gods, he's insane!
We've always lived in the shadow of that Lich, hoping he'd leave us be. I must alert the rest of the council.
Commander, what happened?
Joko intercepted the ship, exposed all the crew and passengers to the Scarab Plague.
Oh my. A full spectrum outbreak. This is incredible.
Gorrik!
Oh, right. Sorry. Tragedy. Terrible.
Terrible.
Scarab
I like his
plague,
tone there.
huh? Oh, lucky you didn't get infected, Commander.
That lunatic despot stole the Pact's war supplies and murdered my countrymen. He must die.
According to Joko, he can't die. He just pops back to life like a demented jack-in-the-box.
Plenty of accounts to back that up. Then again, Joko says a lot of things. He claims he killed Balthazar.
Stealing our credit, eh, Commander? So what's our plan?
It's not that easy. Humans can catch the plague. If we go to war, our people will have to sit it out.
Seems to me this Joko has already declared war on us. And I, for one, am joining the fight.
Gorrik, Blish, let's, give Lord Farron and the Commander some privacy.
Oh my.
Lord Farron, this is a delicate matter.
You gave me busy work when you faced Balthazar. Not again. Humans have the most to lose here. Honor demands a Crichton join the fight against this monstrosity. I shall be that Crichton.
Alright, Farron. Well, let me know how it works out, buddy. I wish you the best. So one might ask the question, since I really dislike how they packaged Joko during, that particular portion right there, and yet I like when Gorrik is, like, kind of goofy, what's the difference there? The difference is Joko is meant to be something, bad, right? If we're going to be fighting something, ideally we would take that something seriously. Like, this is our villain, unless you want it to be Scooby-Doo. Like, if you really want Guild Wars 2 to be Scooby-Doo, I got good news for you. They're really, really good at it. But if you want your enemies to be, like, dark and foreboding and insidious and whatever term you like to describe, like adversaries, daunting adversaries, then if you want that out of Guild Wars 2, they very rarely achieve it. And then clearly they have the potential to. Joko shows us that. Joko could have been the best villain they had written in the game, honestly. There's so much, particularly when you look at the lore of it. But instead they make him that, right? Gorrik was never intended to be that, nor does he need to be. His role perfectly suits what his dialogue was there as a somewhat goofy kind of side character who supports certain things that are going on. It's how he was introduced to us, and they're pretty consistent in their packaging of that. That's the difference between the two. And I don't think Arenanet narrative writers understand any of that. I genuinely think if I were to say what I just said to an Arenanet narrative person, they would be dumbfounded. And that's too bad.
So,
What do you think, Timey?
Unfortunately, Farron's right. Joko's declared war, and we have to meet him head on.
I'll get the word out. You might pay the Primeval Dynasty another visit. They've experienced the plague firsthand.
Good thinking. They have an axe to grind with Joko too. We need to marshal all the forces we can get.
Do it fast. Those scarabs were first generation, but Pestilentix termitroxis has a very quick reproductive cycle. Once Joko cultivates a third generation, he'll be able to unleash a full-scale pandemic. We're talking a matter of days.
Oh man.
in the heart of Korna. It'll take weeks to march an army all the way there.
I might have a solution. I have a prototype of the gate system Joko stole to send minions into Tyria. It could open a portal deep in Korna, somewhere in the vicinity of Joko's fortress.
That would cut out travel time and circumvent a ton of enemy forces.
It'll be makeshift and unstable, so we need to do it in an open expanse that's away from civilization.
Set up in the desert near the tomb of the primeval kings. I'll meet you there after I pay our ghostly friends a visit.
How does the commander know that the portal doesn't have the potential to, like, influence ectoplasm or something? Like, how does the commander know it's not a danger, this unstable portal that Blish is going to set up, you know, to ghosty types? Yeah, I don't know. But if we're going to go through it, then I suppose we can't, like, really, like, I don't know. I mean, we are accepting some danger, right? Alrighty. This next instance is, where am I trying to go? Is downright brutal. Like, brutal. It is, if not my least favorite instance in the game, is definitely, like, top 2 or 3 least favorite instances in the game. For actual gameplay. But the actual gameplay is so bad at times that, again, at least in my opinion, that anything that they, you know, any good that comes out of this instance is kind of like undermined by just the horrible feeling of slogging through this instance. It feels exceptionally bad to play. I can't stress that enough. That being after we talk to the Primeval Kings. Once we link up with Gorrik. So, let's go do these things. Let's get this done, and then we never have to do it again. At some point, I will do it again. I think I still have a couple of accounts that haven't played through Season 4. Definitely one. At least 1 or 2. But we'll never have to do it on camera again. So let's get it done.
Look who's back, sister. If you're looking for help with your Joko problem, Commander, you came to the wrong primevals.
How did... Doesn't matter. I'm sorry to intrude, Majesties, but it is true. I do need your help.
No, you don't. Joko's been making threats to unleash the Scarab Plague for centuries. Demented, but hollow, like his head.
Not this time. He has the real thing.
You're certain?
I've seen the scarabs, and the corpses, and the awakened corpses. We're going to war to try and stop him.
That plague really wiped out humanity. And the scarabs devoured every living creature in their path. No, this can't happen again, sister. And it won't. What you need, Commander, is an army of the dead. Which you yourself can lead. Oh yes, Commander. We can smell the stench of the lost on you. Musky.
Creepy.
The scarabs will smell it too. You're an unbefitting host. Lucky for you. You shall have a legion of spirits for your siege on Gandhara. And 2 primeval queens by your side.
Majesties, this world will be forever in your debt. I'll meet you and your army on the battlefield. Timey, the primevals are crashing the party and they're bringing us a ghost army. Is that portal set up?
Just finishing up, tagging your location. Wait, did you say ghost army?
On my way.
Ghost Army. So, of note, the what was it, Nala and Dala or whatever their names are, like the two queens that we spoke to there. It's not just that they're part of the primeval dynasty, right? They were the two in power, two sisters that were in power when the Scarab Plague actually ended their dynasty. And we got some of that story when we were going through Path of Fire. We were about to enter Cormyr's domain and all that business. Or rather, enter the Cormyr's domain in the Mists and talk to Cormyr. That's when we found out kind of the biography, if you will, of those two queens. So that is why they specifically are the ones that we were interacting with there, and why they, versus maybe other former monarchs within the Primeval Dynasty, might have, it's why they genuinely have interest in this. Whereas like King Raza or whatever, no, Raza was Or, but or was it Wasim or something like that? The king that we talked to, like right, where was the king? Further down in the treasure area where we just were. Maybe he wouldn't have nearly the interest that Nala and Dala do.
That's the portal? How are we gonna get an entire army through that?
This is the base prototype. Still stabilizing it for mass transit.
But we can send you now to prepare for the battle. Make sure we're not transporting into an ambush.
All I have to do is turn it on and my arm. I think it got sent through.
Sit tight, Blish. I'll get it.
Sorry, Commander. Last hiccup. I promise.
Poor Blish. Alright. This is the instance I was talking about. This is like... This is bad. And it's going to be long. This is a long instance. We're just going to have to suck it up. Deal with it. I really wanted that ancient wood. That's why I didn't just go through the portal. Alright, so let's head up there, go through the portal. Now that I got my ancient wood. We just expanded our material storage space. So now I have like a compulsive desire to gather as many materials as possible. Tiny little portal. Go through, grab Blish's arm. If you are asking yourself, does Blish's arm actually have like relevance to the story? 100% it does. And we're not better off for that. And that has nothing to do with Blish. It's not a storytelling problem. In fact, if anything, Blish's arm, from a storytelling perspective, like, I'm fine with it. From a gameplay perspective, it's trash.
Okay, well, I and your arm will start scouting the area.
It's got all my cloaking tech. That'll help you deal with enemies without being spotted.
Don't you love happy little accidents? I'll tell all our allies to meet here, so they can go through as soon as the portal's up and running. Happy scouting, Commander.
Alright.
If you want to use my cloaking tech, press the button on the arm. There's even a setting that makes you look like a tree. Helpful for blocking someone's line of sight.
Oh, by the way, the Sun Spears agree that releasing the plague is an act of war. They're rallying the Alonians. Guess we're really doing this. I'm equal parts exhilarated and terrified. Maybe a little peckish.
Alright, now we're cloaked.
Be careful not to overheat the arm, Commander. If you do, you'll have to wait for the coolant to kick in. And that'll be kind of loud. Might attract attention.
Got an awakened problem here.
Ooh, you can zap it with the tribal electrocutor.
Shh, Gorrik, Commander's trying to be stealthy.
I recommend stun bolting it, then zapping it.
Alright, stun bolt, then zap. So we got 3 charges at a time of stun bolt, and then we got the tribal electrocution or whatever it is. Do one, then the other. Bam, insta kill.
Got a small squad.
That in itself is not the problem.
This should be a good test of the cloaking tech.
So I don't know that I've ever played a game where like stealth thing really works out all that great. At least in my opinion. I'm not saying it can't be done. I just have never even like sneaking and stealth in like Cyberpunk 2077. I felt like it didn't work too well there either. Genuinely didn't like it. And it, generally speaking, in Guild Wars, Guild Wars 2, it doesn't, it's a real hot mess. It's a hot mess in like PvP game modes, like World vs.
They
World,
came from the
structured PvP.
buildings up there.
I don't think it works well at all. I don't think it works well in this story.
Close to the portal. Timey, I think this is a good place for our main camp. Let me take a look around.
I'll take notes.
Alright, so there's like kind of a good thing that happens here, and kind of a dumb thing. So Commander says, they came from the buildings up there, that being like this area right here. Good cover, decent sight lines, close to the portal, all true things. And then she said, Tommy, I think this is a good place for the main camp. Let's take a look around. So the Commander's right. If that was like, if those were the criteria and Commander's like, hey, this is really good, then I'm on board. The problem is, like, the reason it feels silly, this is like one of only 2 like populated areas on the entire map, and the other one, everyone is like up here, everyone's starving to death. So like this ends up being the only place that could have possibly been an option anyway. I mean, it's cool that they included like interesting criteria and stuff, but like it just, like, of course it's where we're gonna be, because like where else would we be? I don't know, man. So this is where things are going to get kind of hinky with gameplay, right? So they've given us like this stealth capability and stuff. Unfortunately, and maybe I'm just bad at it, like super bad at it, but I feel like it never quite works, like quite right.
Checking it out.
Like it doesn't feel smooth.
Don't forget to
It feels like real sketch to me. I don't like it.
Just make sure you stand still while you're doing it. Please don't move.
So I will admit to not knowing if arboreal camouflage ever like has a use, like strategic in nature, to where like you want to use this to navigate the the instance correctly or whatever. No idea. Trees don't move, but you can move. I forget how to get out of trees. Is it just this? Yep. But yeah, in general, like this part doesn't feel good, and it gets worse. It gets much worse. So I'm gonna try and do everything in our stealth mode here as much as possible, but don't exclude the possibility that I just get so annoyed that I decide just to deactivate the cloaking tech and just finish the instance like the way I want. And I'm probably not going to be that careful either, because I don't feel that there's like the reward for it, in my opinion, is not worth it. So like the idea that like I'm going to go this entire instance without being detected, and I don't care. It is true, if you remain undetected, things get kind of smoother, because you don't have to deal with like reinforcements. But you also spend an incredible amount of time like trying to learn how to navigate while stealthed and not be detected, and you're constantly like recharging these charges and stuff, and it just, again, does not feel good for me. Little things like not requiring like not doing 3 charges here, but just doing like 100 total charges for the entire instance. Like I would have preferred that. Although I don't think they could do that here. Like I think probably that wouldn't actually work. A charge of 100 for like their skill tips, or for their ammo skills, I don't think would work properly. Oh, what's that guy doing up here? I understand the need for the heat gauge to just keep people from like spamming all these skills and stuff. But it really adds to the total amount of time that you spend just dealing with nonsense throughout this instance.
You can jump around the area more quickly with that teleporter I built into my arm.
Blish, candid feedback. If you have a teleporter in your arm, that information should come out earlier.
Stupid twister. So these twisters, you can like suck them up into like a little canister, and now you have like, I think you can only carry 2 at one time. But it is the most, the point I'm getting to is, it's the most efficient way of dealing with the twisters versus like trying to like bypass them or whatever. Just snatch them up, and then when you're at full charges, get rid of one. There, And it basically functions like a minion, right? So now you got the Twister following you around. Let's see. So we're only at like 2/3, maybe. Here we got some dudes that we still need to kill. This guy doesn't have like the eye over his... Oh yeah, he does. All right. Should still be a few more. Back over this way. Stupid Twister again. Which way is that guy walking? All right. What? What are you talking about, dude? You didn't see me. You didn't see anything. Now maybe if I turn into a tree... What are you attacking? Oh. Ah! Alright. Should we capture another Twister? I don't like that the special action key captures the Twisters and takes you in and out of, like, stealth mode. I believe that there's... If I remember correctly, there might be an achievement for, like, succeeding, you know, like for not coming out of the stealth mode. And, like, how are you going to do that if you accidentally come out of it thanks to, you know, one of those Twisters and not being sure if you're actually, like, is the hourglass up or is this little sneaky guy up? Like, that whole dynamic is, like, super annoying. The whole Twister thing in general feels like it just, oh no, unnecessary to me. Like, they could have just chosen not to put them in the instance.
Roger. Oh, and Blish says the portal's almost back online.
Good. Keep me posted. Can't wage a war on my own.
Oop, see, there we went. Why didn't my canister come up?
Time to do some real damage.
Now I'm out of stealth. Not that big a deal, though. Because we don't care. We'll go ahead and get back in it, though, just for purposes of demonstrating stealth things, I guess. Alright, let's go survey the battlefield. We have now effectively eliminated the defenders of this little garrison here. So we want to survey the battlefield so we have an understanding of what's going on here in Gandara. Find like a high area, high ground. Take a look at what's going on. Make sure we don't actually like walk right in front of like sentries here, who will still detect you in spite of your stealth. Like, I don't know.
Won't be easy getting in there.
He did invite you. Maybe just knock on the front door.
Or kick it in. Whole area's crawling with awakened. We could use a way to stop enemy troops from moving into the main camp area.
Oh, that reminds me. Canuck thought of that. He's on his way with bramble seeds that'll grow into walls super quick. Portal's ready for single transport. Sending Canuck through. Meet him at the main camp.
Alright, we'll go meet Canuck. Of note, Troop Marshal Alori Ogun here will appear on like the map here as a is it legendary? I can't remember if he's champ or a legendary bounty. This is one of the things I really dislike. The catapults here. I don't feel like they're implemented the right way. I don't like it at all. Not even a little bit. Let's find Canuck. What's up, buddy?
Nice spot. Of course, those siege engines will have to go.
Of course.
Guard posts, too.
Of course.
I don't mind sharing my toys. Here, try these beauties. Set one down, and it'll arm itself in no time flat. These seeds will grow into bramble walls almost instantly. Where do you want them?
From my sweep of the area, our position will be most vulnerable from the south and the east.
I'll plant along the eastern front. You take the south.
Alright. So we grabbed some of these bombs here. We're going to need those to address some of the awakened fortifications and also the siege engines. So the catapults, or trebuchets, or whatever it is they're supposed to be. There's an example of one of the fortifications right there. And then we're also, in a few spots, going to plant these seeds that Connacht gave us, which will allow us to kind of prevent the Awakened from making inroads into, you know, into our like rear lines, so to speak. Oh, I didn't see that guy. He's just like hanging out there. Oh, and of course, because I'm blinded by the Deathmite, I missed. I actually have a problem here. All right, we're outies. I don't think that got either one of them. Oh, and I'm out of charges. No one to blame for that except myself, though. So these AoEs that are popping up around us, that's not the Deathmite. That is the trebuchets, like way over here, which is stupid, really annoying. I don't think they can actually hit me because I think this rock wall obstructs it, but it's still ridiculous. Is there another spot where you plant the seeds, like right up here? I guess not. I thought there was. 100% thought there was. Let's see. Gross. All right, now these things are really problematic for us. Wrong thing. Because they have huge knockdown, and they tend to like chain. They tend to all fire like one right after the other. I'm kind of hoping. I'm trying to get them to fire on me here, so that when I go to plant my bomb, they don't like all of a sudden like all fire on me. Which they did. Super annoying. Alright, that should have got the barricade and all the trebuchets there. Look at all these guys. Horrible. Alright, we're out of here. We'll find another route. So I do think all these red eyes, right, because they're aware, like I've already made them aware of my presence, will eventually go back to yellow at some point in time. if you just hang out and wait like a long time. I don't like that one bit. Like, is that what they thought was like a good idea? It was like, oh, if the player just like takes a cigarette break, everything's fine. You know? Is that what we're incentivizing? That doesn't make any sense. Like, give me another option for reducing this, or make it a shorter cooldown or something. But like, these guys are gonna stay like this for a really long time. And so if I find it problematic enough that it's like obstructing my ability to advance through the instance, it's one of a number of things that I think are just a disaster with this instance. Like this right now, I'm not having fun with anything right now. This all feels just awful. It is laborious to the extreme. Zero fun. And I understand, like someone somewhere thought that like stealth mechanics would be super fun. Like, we need to introduce something with stealth mechanics because players love stealth mechanics. Developers keep... do they think that they can do it better than the last person who tried stealth mechanics? Like, is that what happens? Like, one at a time, they're all like, well, we can do it. The other studios demonstrated an inability to do it, but we can do it. And so they try. Like, I don't understand, like, what's going on there, but it... Uh-oh. I'm in a lot of trouble, actually. But it doesn't feel good. Of note, sometimes these bombs, especially if you get engaged, like while you're planting the bombs, then the bombs bug. And that might be what happened here. Neither of those bombs now are going off. Oh, wait. Nope, neither of them did. So now we have another, like, huge problem, right? Because I planted bombs, and they're just going to sit there. We can try and plant a second set. There's something about getting engaged while in the process that really jacks up like the process, and it bugs. I would say 1 out of every 3 times maybe that I attempt this instance, I experience that, which is a really unacceptably high rate. Oh god, that point blank, like that's just ridiculous. And it happened again. So that is the chain. What you just saw is the chain of circumstances that repeatedly, like, it is normal to happen in this instance, and will make you feel like this instance is, you know, it's already not fun. There's nothing fun about anything we've done in this instance so far. But then when it goes like the way it just did for us, where things are bugged and... You know, nothing feels good. The stealth mechanic isn't rewarding because it stops working after the first time you let one of the awakened, like, see you in some way. Which I wasn't being particularly concerned about, but, like, now we're feeling the impact of that. Like, all of those things compound and just, like, pile on top of each other until suddenly you're just trying to figure out the fastest way to get this over with, because nothing about it is good. This is where our bugged bombs were. I bet you the same ones are like still sitting there. 2 of them, right around those trebuchets. Can we just like smash the trebuchets? Barely doing any damage to trebuchets. And I don't remember how to like trigger. Once upon a time when this happened to me, I did find a way to trigger those bombs. And like get them to actually work properly. Alright, so now we're not going to be able to enter the stealth, which is immaterial anyway. I just wanted to access... Oh! Okay, the bombs did get triggered by something we were doing. So maybe that was it. We just had to come over here out of the stealth form or something. Ridiculous, man. The only good news I got is we only need 3 more barricades and 2 more siege engines to be done with this nonsense. Might be the worst instance, honestly. I think there's another barricade here along with the siege engines. Yeah, there's. Alright, but we do have 2 more barricades to deal with. Both the barricades that we still have to deal with, I believe, are, yeah, They're up on the walkway there where you just have all that nonsense going on. You know what? Let's just do it this way. Well, am I in comp? Of course I am with a dust mite.
They'll have to hit much harder.
I wonder if there are consequences for like being really bad at your job at Arenanet. You know, in general, to be quite frank, I tend to wonder about that with like video games in general, because so often I feel like, what the heck? So much of the time I feel like there's a pretty significant disconnect between like some studios and like their player bases, and like a lack of understanding on what constitutes like fun and not fun, and so I wonder if like studios just kind of work off like the hey, you did the best you can system. No idea though. Who knows? All right, we're just about there though, and then we can enter the next phase of what is just awful. And this is really a question of tuning, right? So this next part, it's not just that like, oh, this particular thing that you're having me do isn't fun, but it's tuned to where it takes, well, it takes like maybe 7 minutes. That 7 minutes feels like about an hour and a half. And that's not nice. Like nobody, are we gonna kill that guy or what? Oh, I can't because my heat meter is too high. Stupid.
Commander, cannot prove the seeds have been planted along the eastern front. And Blish has an update.
The portal's not really a portal anymore. More of a permanent rift. I thought I could make this portable portal possible. But I'm starting to think I can't. It's still not large or stable enough to send an entire army through at once. I'm going to have to swing it in waves.
It's okay, Blish. I'll head to the rift. Timey, start sending troops through.
Aye, aye.
Now, if it sounds like I'm doing nothing but complaining about this instance, which I pretty much am because it's a horrible instance, keep in mind part of that for me is disappointment, because the actual subject matter of this, I like. Like this is my thing, right? Like asymmetric warfare, inserting the forces behind enemy lines, infiltrating like the battlefield, close to the enemy strong. Like that's all really cool, and it's done just from a gameplay perspective. It's done just about as bad as it can be, in my opinion. That is my problem. Whereas usually I'm like bitching and moaning about the story. With this instance, it is the gameplay that is just inexcusably bad, and that's why I'm no longer. I don't think I'm going to go back into the stealth thing. Like it just feels so bad. We'll just try to be patient and suck it up. Why is Canuck way over there?
Me and the boys coming through.
No, this is actually the last wave. I think Timey comes through last.
I can smell the pestilence in the air.
Ooh, calm down, Gorrik.
Gross. I'm glad I don't have olfactory glands anymore.
You and me both, Blish.
Yourself. Make sure to get my
I do actually have olfactory glands.
Doors. Let's kick in some teeth.
Alright. Yeah, our blue circle's gone. I think we're good to accompany these folks. Probably be for the best. I've about had it down there. I would have expected this to be like right there, though. I don't know. Maybe another one of the groups is like bugged and is just hanging out up here or something. You just never know in this instance. Canuck could be like running around over here.
accounted for, Commander. More on the way soon.
Oh god, I hope not.
Everyone listen up. If you're human, stay behind the bramble walls. Your role is support only. Ritlock, Rox, Bram, lead the Olmacon and Ghost Legions to the front lines. The Scarabs will be thickest there. Turns out that because I've died before, I can't catch the plague. So I'll be on the front lines as well. Timey, where are the Corsairs?
Moving into position in the cove to the southwest. But they're human, and that is on the other side of the walls.
Risky. But we need them to keep Joko from launching plague ships. Ritlock, make sure they get some support. Zaim, command your Sun Spears from the main camp. Send them scouting north to protect our flank.
Understood, Commander. My people won't become incubators for Joko's plague.
Yeah, we'll see.
Farron,
We'll see, Zion.
Since you're here, the same goes for you and your recruits. Think you're up to protecting our supply lines?
I've trained them myself. I think we're up to much more than that, Commander.
I promise you, this isn't busy work. The war is lost if our supplies break down. I need you to make Kryta proud.
I assure you, we will.
This is it, people. We've managed to catch Joko off guard. We have one chance to stop him. The fate of 2 continents hangs in the balance. Are you with me? Let's show that sick Lich he's bitten off more than he can chew.
Great. Alright, yes, you can. I never want to see it again, Blish. Horrible instance. So of note here, Lord Farron, right? Where are you going, Lord Farron? I literally was about to talk to you. Where is everyone running off to? Please don't just leave the instance. They're totally going to. The heck? Oh my gosh. Alright. Well, why did they... Like, what was the point of that? They couldn't make NPCs behave more logically, but they have them run away at the end of the little scene here. Like, they put more effort into doing... whatever. At least didn't we just see Canuck run away? We got 2 Canucks. So, Lord Farron, right? A ridiculous character and should be treated ridiculously. It is worth noting, however, that logistics are genuinely like an important thing in an endeavor like this. Now, because we've like penetrated behind enemy lines, sort of, logistics kind of take on like a different dynamic. But I wouldn't expect like we're not gonna bring that into play. So yeah, logistics important. With that in mind, our tone, and maybe it's just the like the human female voice actor, our tone with like with Farron is like all wrong, because we make it sound super condescending, like we're saying it's important but we don't believe it's important, but it is actually important. I don't, it's like very bizarre. Again, probably just a voice acting problem. I don't think the human female commander, is anywhere remotely close to like their strongest voice actor. In fact, I think really they're not very good. But like, having said that, it's still worth noting. Now we did see that Farron was like in like different armor. That is because they sold that armor in the gem store around this time, around the time that this launched. So that armor was available if you like super want, you know, to look like Lord Farron in this episode. Then that's something that is available to you. Where are we at for today? We are half-ish way through. We're not halfway. We're like a third of the way through Chapter 3 of Season 4, and we are hot on the trail of... Are we hot on the trail of? We know where he is. We're on the approach to combating Joko, and we want to take Joko down because he's a threat to all Eteria, because he has the Scarab Plague, and that is bad. So when we come back next time, we're going to attempt to take the fight to him. I think I might just try and do that in like one, like straight play. I think we can actually finish this chapter, even if we're not quite halfway. From here on out, it gets pretty easy. That instance we just finished is like the really bad one that is like super time consuming and feels awful. So from here on out, this chapter is not too bad in terms of gameplay. So when we come back, we will try and finish up chapter 3 of season 4. Thank you for joining me, and have a good afternoon.